Well, thank you, Mike, and good morning to our viewers. My name is Achala Simon, and of course, coming to you from Kisumu County. This is the weekly program, Western Spectrum, of course, bringing you issues that affect this region and to a larger extent, of course, across the country. And today we are looking at tolerance, political tolerance, of course, on a common border boundaries and what can actually be done in terms of ensuring that indeed communities coexist peacefully even as we go into election. I'll just go through statistics that were actually given by NCIC in 2022, and they say that 3 out of 47 counties in this country, of course, have tensions related to one resource allocation and ethnic-based conflicts. This, of course, heightens during electioneering period, but also not so interesting is the fact that about 6 counties, that is Kericho, Uasin Gishu, Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu, and Mombasa, have a high risk of politically instigated violence during electioneering period. And of course, we have 10 that have elevated risk. This is a common occurrence each and every electioneering year where NCIC come out and give those details. Politicians also go to the podium and do what they know best. Most of them, of course, inciting communities along political lines. This year is no different. We are already seeing in counties like Kisumu, Siaya, Busia, and other parts of the country, of course, politicians coming out, going to the podium and uttering words and remarks that are actually not so uniting. And for us to, there are a number of organizations that are actually doing a number of activities at the grassroots, and specifically here in Kisumu, Nandi County, Kericho, and other counties in this region to try and foster peace and ensure that indeed communities living in this region continue to live peacefully. And today, to help us actually have this discussion is Lydia Adhiambo. Lydia Adhiambo works at the local capacities of Peace International, and she's also a human rights advocate. And also have John Obure, who is a businessman in this community, but also a community leader. Welcome, gentlemen and lady. And we go straight into it because of time. Lydia, we have, your organization has actually been dealing closely with youth in this region. What are some of the enablers for, what is actually happening as we head into the next poll?
When you're asking enablers, I want to assume, or maybe ask just to clarify, you are talking about enablers for violence,
yes.
Why youths are actually being used mostly.
You're right.
The main reason in this region is because of the issue of unemployment and high cost of living. Of course, this cuts across in the whole country. All the youths are complaining about the issue of unemployment and high cost of living. But then the pull factor is the fact that the availability makes it very easy for political aspirants and politicians to take advantage of them. Because when you are available and you, at the end of the day, you don't know what you're going to get in terms of food, and there's this politician who is offering that, then that is a better, it's not even a better alternative, it's the only option you have. So the problem is that our people do not have alternatives. So then they pick what is available. And in this case, especially during this electioneering period, what is available is just the politicians giving them handouts. And that culture of handouts is something that I think we have perfected, in this country, all over. We have perfected the culture of handouts, and that is what youth are relying on. So sadly, that is one of the reasons why they are available to contribute, especially when it comes to violent issues.
That among other reasons, Lydia, but these issues have actually been discussed over and again. And because we have a politician and a community leader here, we need to ask them the secret in terms of why do they keep flouting the law each and every year. We have this discussion, tell youth not to engage in violence activities, but still you have a knack of ensuring that indeed youth are mobilized and put into this space. What is the secret?
Someone, let me tell you that in politics there are 2 things that matter. One is the tactic, and the other one is how you can appeal to the emotions of the people. And that's what politicians use most. Lydia has talked about the vulnerability of the youths because of unemployment. Almost a bigger percentage of the youth are vulnerable because they are not engaged. This is the time for politicians to take advantage of their vulnerability. And you have talked about the law, breaking the law by politicians. It is because the law enforcement arms of the government are also interested parties. Therefore, the application of the law becomes not very strict.
Selective.
It is selective to say. That's what makes our politicians look at issues to do with hate speech, issues to do with incitements. For the past 1 month, we have seen politicians uttering very bad statements. But who takes actions? Instead, those who utter bad statements, the next time you will find them with the big people who are supposed to enforce the law. Then what that tells the bigger public that you can break the law and you go away with it. In Kisumu, for example, now, majority of our youths that engage in unlawful activities, they will tell you that it will take only one phone call and they will be released from the police stations even if they are arrested. Yes. So it is incumbent upon the duty bearers to ensure that if it is enforcement, let it be enforced in total disregard to one's position in a society.
Yeah. Lydia, clearly it is a monster that needs to be slain. Yes. The question is, how do we get the courage? How then do we navigate the situation in terms of ensuring that indeed this monster can actually be slain? Because each and every year we have this discussion. We point out some of these messes, but every electioneering year, every cycle, we go back to the same discussion, point fingers and not act. How then do we slay this monster?
My opinion is that we need to shift what I call public incentives. Yeah, because you realize that, and what Mr. Obure is saying here is the real thing. Politicians become famous by being hateful, but politicians who are trying to do the right thing are not very famous. Their names are not very known. The only time we get to hear about them is probably when a report is presented and then we say, probably this county did better. That's when we get to know them. But politicians who are hateful are more famous. So in my opinion, what we need to do is what we call shift public incentives. So let's start to reward good things. Let's start to reward good traits. For example, we could be rewarding a politician who's considerate, who is more moderate in their speech. These are the people we need to vote for. But if we continue to vote for people who are hateful, people who are continually pushing towards ethnic division, then I think that is why we continue to talk about these conversations.
I'm tempted to ask, how do we then have that paradigm shift? Because the way our politics is cultured, even now, you can actually see that our politics is configured around personalities, and those personalities come with their ethnic blocks, right? How then do we move away from such type of politics to a different type of politics where we are looking deeds? And then two, how then do we infuse in terms of getting more young people into this political space? Because today, most of these political people, they have said they are tribeless, they are leaderless, and they want to do things the right way. How then do we have more of them into the political space so that then they can actually actively participate in this, other than just having their phones, taking pictures, and then posting them, and then, of course, going for likes?
Maybe to respond to the first question, what I would say is some of the things that we do is now we are actually going down to the grassroots. I'm talking about my organization, Local Capacities for Peace International. So at the grassroots levels, this is where the conversation begins. And my opinion is we actually need to start civic education right from primary schools. because you realize that we only talk about civic education when it's time for electioneering period, which is unfortunate, because we need to have this culture within us to know that this is what is expected. Much as we have rights, we also have responsibilities. And as we exercise our responsibilities, we have to remember that there's a generation that is coming behind us. Now, in terms of youth inclusion, you realize that currently, this Gen Z movement, especially when it started, it was hot, and then at some point, I don't know what is happening. But the issue that for every little thing, it triggers, like, it feels like the community is just waiting. The government will just do something or say something, and then everyone is up in arms, whether it's good or bad. This really shows that there's a bigger problem than what we are trying to handle. And again, we've said this over and over, elections is never our problem. There are so many issues that need to be addressed that have not been addressed. Only it is manifesting. Some of them you already mentioned, the issue of historical injustices, the issues of land, marginalization, So this, for me, are the key issues that need to be addressed. As long as we are not addressing this, elections will always come, but it will give us an opportunity, especially as youths, to just, manifest what is already within us. The other time, there was someone who was crying here at... when I say the other time, I mean during the last Gen Z movement. There was a young man who was met here at Kondele. He was weeping really miserably. And why was he weeping? Because Robert Ouko was killed, And this is, I can assure you, because of his age. Yes. This is someone who never witnessed. He never saw Robert Ouko. He never witnessed the death. But then, because this is, it's a community. It's owned within the community, and that community feels particularly that probably some of the issues were not handled the way they should have been handled, and government after government, they come and they do not handle. So this, there are burdens that we pass, or trauma that we pass from one generation to the next. So when we have elections, it is time to manifest. They just show. It is just, so when we treat elections, we are actually just treating the symptoms. But the root cause of the problem, most of the time, we have not handled. And that's why we are in this cycle.
John, when are we seeing politicians? Because if I'm electing you, I am giving you authority to actually go to parliament and then agitate for issues that actually affect the community, right? When are we seeing politicians? When are we seeing leaders in our communities putting the interest of the people in the forefront, rather than what we get to see on a daily basis, that them standing on the podium and singing praises for certain individuals?
Until the voter will understand that they need to elect whoever qualifies for their aspirations.
But John, let me cut you
short.
But
the problem here...
Just before you... We have seen people who are in the civil society space, and they have sung what Lydia is singing now here, right? But once we elect them and get them into that space, I want to point out a certain senior politician of a certain political party, right? He's been in the civil society space for quite some time, known as human rights activist, right? But when he gets into that space and stands on the podium, he's the first to say that you can actually do this and this and this, which of course goes against what he's been preaching for years. So even if you were to elect today a leader who say is of this thinking, what happens when you get to the other side and you decide, now I want to sing praises for a certain master and not the people that actually elected you?
There is unemployment and there is a call. Those two things we need to differentiate. So even in the civil society, you can have those non-state actors that are in that space because it is an employment issue. So he will be trying to implement what the program requires him or her to implement. Note that is the call.
Yes.
But there is also somebody who is in that space because it is a call. Lydia calls herself a human rights activist. Whether she is in the civil society or she is in the government where policies are implemented, if she stands by being a human rights defender, she will defend it even when she is in government. Yes, that's the problem we have, and we have it across all the borders. So I you started asking about how the young people can be integrated into the political space.
Yes.
Simon, policies are made by leaders, and leaders that are sponsored by political parties. Mm-hmm. The biggest mistake we make as a people is that we join political parties as fans, but not as members. And when we join political parties,
or at times you don't even subscribe to
the ideals. That's what I'm saying. You will find many people crying here in Kenya when Arsenal loses or when Man U loses. But are they at a table where decisions on who is to be failed and what is to be done as Man U is being made? No, that's the biggest mistake we have in our communities. Majority, for example, if you come to this side, everybody will be saying we are ODM members or we belong to ODM. At what level do you belong to ODM? Do you belong to ODM at a level where you can make a decision?
Yes.
No. Ask, if you go to portal of Register of Political Parties now, you will find, for example, Kisumu Central, which is an ODM zone. You will find we have over 130,000 registered voters. But the ODM membership in Kisumu Central will not even be half that. And everybody will be making noise. So when decisions are being made, it is those few people who belong to that political party that will be brought to a table to make decisions. Not majority that has been making.
And the noise
so the only thing I can ask our community members, let us belong to those political parties.
How? Because, I mean, when I am asked to become a member of a political party and I become a member of a political party through subscription, right? Paying my subscription fee and becoming a member, how far am I supposed to go in terms of a space where I can actually make decisions? Two, when do we have situations where we can actually call our leaders to order? If a leader is going this direction and as members want to go the other direction, then we can actually call him to order and say, this is what we want. And how do we make our political parties strong? Because you've seen in other jurisdictions, like for instance in South Africa, where a party can actually recall you and decide that you are not going as per our wishes and our ideals. So then vacate this seat, so then someone else assumes that position.
Our party can recall you. So when you have an issue with an ODM MCA or an ODM or PNU or UDA MP, and you are not a member.
Give me an example, because we have happening in the country, right? Just give me one example where a party in this country actually was able to recall, a member of parliament or whichever elected positions, and then
you can't recall a member if that member acts the way you want him to act. Lydia said
is burning.
Lydia said in Kenya.
Join into the conversation.
Yes, Lydia said in Kenya, we reward fame and politicians become famous by doing bad things. Those bad things are entertained by those political parties. Those political parties entertain those bad things. Therefore, if we want to change those bad things, it is us to join those political parties and tell them that these are not the things that we want. But when we make noise from outside, we will not change those things.
Is it the way, Lydia?
Mr. Obure,
I can see actually burning with a very one point that wants to kill it, to burst your chest, right? So we will give you a space. Yes. Then is it the way our parties are structured that actually denies members of these political parties a space to actually have a voice in those parties, or is it just the lackluster manner in which we deal with politics in this country that actually fuels what we actually, or Obure is actually talking about?
I think it's structured. What we have on paper and how we act, even at political party levels, is very different. And Mr. Obure, when you say that we all have to come and make a decision, we can't all make decisions. That is why we have democracy. And democracy means that we have to disagree, except we disagree respectfully. So that we are members or non-members of a political party or not, I think the key issue is, how do the members behave? Do they act as per what they say? Now, the problem we're having is that we don't have people who are honest. Yeah, you will have, like now Mr. Bure here is a member of ODM. When his interests are not served, he will quickly move to UDA or any other political party.
Or form his own political party.
And now they forget. There's one politician here who really is very funny to me. He amuses me. Because at one point when he was on the other side, everything with the government wasn't working. Now he's on this other side and everything has been perfect ever since we started. And that shows that there's no loyalty when it comes to politicians. So, and all of us cannot make decisions. That's why we entrust individuals to make decisions on our behalf. The much we can do is to raise our voices and tell them, as you go to make these decisions for us, please consider 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the issue of youth inclusion is something that has been talked about over and over.
Again.
And these political parties, you can only pinpoint, probably you can count them on your fingers, the ones that have tried to do that. Even the issue of inclusion of women. We remember at some point, even when we were talking about affirmative action, there are men who rose against it and they were saying, why should we have that? But the question, we are saying, can we have a platform that all of us are able to contribute? You see, for me, even an affirmative action for the youth would not really be such a bad idea. Because affirmative action is not a permanent solution. It's something that we do temporarily until we get to a level where we feel now we are at an equal level, and then now we can start having those conversations equally as Mr. Obure is pushing us to do.
How then do we move that conversation from a level where we are discussing politics, we are discussing political parties, we are discussing politicians, and ensuring that the chaos and incitement they ferment at the grassroots that actually translate into violence is actually stopped at that level and not getting to the people on the ground who actually, in most situations, are not part and parcel to their differences up there, but suffer the most?
I think the major problem, or the challenge, let me use the word challenge, that we have is that most of the time we associate political competition with ethnic competition, which is not. Political competition are very different from ethnic competition. When someone doesn't choose which community they come from, that we have UDA's party leader coming from one community, and we have ODM's party leader coming from a different community, does not mean these communities need to fight as long as these two individuals are not able to agree on something. And for me, actually, the essence of democracy, I would repeat, is that we disagree. We may not agree, but the fact that we disagree, conflict in itself is not bad, because conflict is how communities grow. Conflict is how even nations grow, because we can't have all of us agree. But what we do, even in our civic education, we did not teach the important role that the opposition takes. So when we are in the opposition, we feel like we have lost. But because we do not know that even in the opposition, we actually have more voice. Let's use the example of the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga. He was in the opposition, but through the opposition, the whole world got to know him. Why? He was an oversight body in himself. As an individual, he was an oversight body, So being in the opposition is not a bad thing after all. Maybe if we teach our people, when we are doing civic education, that it's not always that you have to win for you to be able to, make whatever changes you want to make in the society. You can actually do them.
Benefit from the national cake.
Again, that's a whole discussion altogether. Yes.
John, already we are hearing war drums, in the sense that there are counties in this country where already people are saying, and in Busia, for instance, after the killing of those 5 youth, already there's a clear line, and people are already calling, saying that certain communities must not participate in certain activities in this community, and it's awash on social media. Is it by the fact that some of our political parties are actually inclined on ethnicity? Is it one of the major reasons as to why, I mean, we continue having these problems over and over again? Their leaders have actually come out strongly and asked that we do away with politics that are actually ethnic based. That hii chama ni hii ni chama yangu tu ya Busia, hii ni chama yangu ya Bungoma, hii ni chama yangu ya Kakamega, right? So then we have national parties. Is it time that you actually looked at it critically and said that yes, indeed, it is time for us to have national parties that actually represent the ideals and the thinking of the nation, rather than having a small party that actually just looks into the interest of your community or your own individual interest?
I will go back to what I told you in my first remarks, that politics is about tactics and emotions. And it is the emotions that most politicians use. Legally and structurally, any registered political party in Kenya is national. legally and structurally. There is no political party that will be registered in Kenya when its executive organ does not have a representative of at least members from 24 counties. That is the law. And the ORPP has been very strict on it. But what happens after registration, it is us politicians who go and wipe up emotions of their ethnic communities to bundle that political party to be a certain
conclave.
So, politics and political party politics is not the problem. It is the people we elect. I want to look at the structure of devolution. For example, if you go to Kisumu, all elected and nominated MCAs of Kisumu County, save for one who is an independent, all out of 47 are ODM members. Don't we have a problem in Kisumu? And leader said, it is not only politics that is our problem. We have 47 MCAs belonging to ODM. Don't we have waste management problem in Kisumu? If you go to Kondele today, the waste has never been collected for the past 2 months. What has that to do, or what impact has that to do with the public health issues? Yeah? So, it is not about politics. It is about leaders that are elected that are not up to the task for which the people donated their mandate to do. So it is that why I was saying we must go back to the people themselves. Tell them, one, get to know if it is Obure that you want to elect, does he qualify? Because look at civic education that Lydia was talking about. Recently, IBC, and it happened the other time. The other time, it is politicians that refused totally to allocate money for civic education. But by law, civic education, civic and voter education is left to IBC. They requested money for the same, they were not given money. How will they do it? How will they conduct the grassroots voter and civic education? This time, they requested the money. It is our politicians who refused. And in fact, funnily, one of the youthful legislators of the National Assembly said civic and voter education is for the civil society.
Sadly.
There's a youth. That's a youthful legislator. So it is not about, when we are talking about these boundaries, we must capture the ethnic boundary, the demographic boundary, the ethnic, you see, so that we bring those people to board and call them out. Tell them, you are not doing the right thing. For community peace, we did something with LCPI and other organizations in Kondele about demonstrations. And going grassroots the way he said, we went the grassroots way. By the way, Kondele is ever graded as a hotspot. But it is never hot from within. It is hot from without. Many people have been gunned down. Many people have been injured. But when we are now transporting these bodies, Simon, they are ever from outside Kondele. There are people that we cannot identify.
Who actually brought their
In Kondele, that
John.
for demonstrations, if you want to demonstrate and you are coming from Bandani, please do it in Bandani. If you want to demonstrate and you are from Mamboleo, do it from Mamboleo. Let us not have Kondele as a meeting center where everybody comes.
A very good point to end. Your bad manners to Kondele.
Yeah.
Right. Conclusion.
In conclusion,
Just 30 seconds, please.
let's encourage leaders that it is okay to lose. So when we have this culture of it is okay to lose and it is okay to win, then it will not be a do or die sort of situation when we are doing elections. And ultimately, elections is not our problem. Let us go back to the root cause of our problems and let us handle them from those levels, whether it is at the county level or national level or even at community levels. And most importantly, vijana, debe ndio place, vita hapana.
John.
Monopoly is a bad thing, whether it is political, religious, or institutional monopoly. Let us not have monopoly of political parties in a given area.
Fantastic. John and Lady, of course, giving us their wisdom on exactly what needs to be done in terms of ensuring that indeed we avert violence that is associated with politics. Of course, the drumbeats are out there, and we are already hearing what politicians are saying and communities are saying, but they're saying there's need for peaceful coexistence and, of course, ensuring that things are done in the right manner. I take you back to Broadcasting House. My name is Achola Simon. On behalf of each and every person who's actually made this possible, our camera persons, Christine and Simon Nyamatiko, and of course our producers in Nairobi, we take you back to Broadcasting House and ensure that indeed you can have this conversation continuing on our social media handles through Achola Simon and of course at KBC Channel 1.